Alright, and now I say hello and welcome back to another episode of TENSHI. Um, we stopped last time where Michelle, this little girl right here, wanted to rape us, right? Ready, sir.
I'm prepared.
Ooh, do I need to wear something or... Considering the time window has no effects upon your physical body, then no. I'd say you're fine. Cool, so where are we headed? We decided to have a bit of fun with this one and head to the early 1920s. Is it before or after the Great Depression?
Before, silly. We gonna see all kinds of cool stuff there.
Alright, let's go, I guess. Bursting with confidence as usual, huh? Alright, let's open the time window. Michelle typed out a few more things, putting in lines of coordinates and code before hitting one final switch, a large ball of light emitting from the center of the time window as usual. Rose took my hand and smiled, leading me towards the time window, and just like that we went through, and the trip through didn't feel nearly as strange as the first. Whoa! Is this still really weird? Where are we right now anyways?
We actually have no idea. It's just what we go through in order to get to our desired time.
And it's usually the place where the... I looked over as Rose clutched her breast, grimacing. Rose, are you...
She's fine, Kenji, don't worry. This is normal for when we go through.
Oh my gosh, look at those melons! I looked over at Kiyu and my eyes nearly popped out of my head. I watched as her chest surged forward, swelling by the second. It didn't seem to faze her at all, however, as she burst through the cup sizes in seconds. I turned to see Rose, her face scrunched up. Unlike Kiyu, she seemed to let the growth to get to her quite a bit as she bumped in sizes. Her boobs getting as large as her head, then even bigger. How long does this usually last for, you two?
Until we get to our destination, usually. Until then, we're at the mercy of our growth, essentially.
I still don't quite understand how the human body can actually work like this.
Don't think too hard about it, then.
She smiled, patting my shoulder, her breasts growing even further outwards, until finally both her and Rose's breasts had come to a stop, all mind-boggling large. And with that, we appeared at our destination. Whoa, so this was the 20s, huh?
Yup.
And why is no one glaring at two scantily clad girls and the guy not wearing a fancy suit?
'Cause they can see us, silly.
Oh, so we are not really here then. No, we are. We can still go up to people and objects and move them, break them. Sorry, forgot to turn off the sound. Did do it now. But we choose not to, as doing so many alter the flow of time, and to put things plainly, really mess things up. So we don't. So we're just invisible then.
Essentially, yes. We exist, but at the same time, we don't. I know that doesn't entirely make sense, but it's the line we're walking right now. Now hurry up. I want to take a look around this bar.
Wait, So, can you guys drink while you're through the time window?
Nah, that's not the reason we wanted to come here. Speakeasies, we are super important to prohibition and stuff back in this area.
This is one of the ones that actually stuck around. It has some pretty cool jazz playing here as well. I didn't know you like jazz, Q. It's not my first choice for music, but seeing it live is always really cool. This place is packed. Well, what do you expect, Kenji? These kinds of places were in high demand back in this era. We were just going back to see it with our own eyes. This was less of a historical confirmation since there are pictures and such documenting its history. We just wanted to kind of experience it ourselves. So, you're a fan of bars then? No, we both enjoyed these types of things. These important but not prolific sites of human culture. Across the globe and through history, we've gone to various important places, sometimes to document their creation and sometimes just to be there to soak it in. How far back can the time window go? Anyway, as of yet, not terribly far. The farthest we've gone is the 1600s. Any farther than that, and it tends to be unstable and thus dangerous to travel through. Hush! About the sciencey stuff. Let's enjoy the entertainment. Rose and I smiled at Q's enthusiasm and turned towards the stage, watching as the band played in earnest. People around us were dancing and singing. Some stood on tables holding up their glasses. It all somehow still held a sense of class and grace, despite being the retro equivalent of a rave. Suddenly, I felt a pair of legs intervene from behind me. At first I thought it was Rose or even Q, but then I turned around and here I saw... Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. You?
Yes, me. So nice to see you again, Kenji dear. How are you and the girls?
Let go of me!
Oh, and why would I do that? I need you, dear. Mizuki and I both need you so badly.
She got close to my ear and breathed on it, the hot air sending chills down my spine. I struggled, but was powerless under Bunny's strong appendages.
Be a good boy and calm down while Mizuki deals with the others.
Q, Rose, where are you?
I said be quiet.
Her voice suddenly got very harsh and strong, her grip getting tighter as she put her hand over my mouth. I waited there, watching as people danced around us, the jazz continuing relentlessly as people laughed and screamed and talked, and the music kept getting louder. I blacked out. I think Bunny might have drugged me with something, but I remember being barely conscious when Mizuki came back, Rose and Q close on her heels. I was picked up, my body limp, my eyes barely open, my mind shutting down. I felt myself being carried towards a bright light as Mizuki and Bunny shouted something I couldn't hear. It felt like my head was full of cotton, my legs were made of lead. And before I knew it, I was being dragged back through a time window, with Rose and Kiyu yelling my name back behind me. Oh gosh, my head. It feels like I've been stuffed full of tissue. I tried moving my arms, but they were tied to something, a pole probably. My legs were limp, I couldn't move them. But they were tight, so that was nice, I suppose. Eventually, I lifted up my head, blinking my eyes, but it was useless. I couldn't see anything. The room was pitch black. There was some scarcely visible lights in the background, but I couldn't make out anything. Until a figure of girl came walking into the room, that is, a dim light giving some illumination on who she was. It was Mizuki, wearing something I had never seen her in before. Somehow, this got my attention and made me sit upright. She seemed to take notice of my movements and smirked.
Funny, you like what you see?
She pulled out some sort of sharp weapon and pointed it at me, suddenly frowning.
I suggest you keep your eyes to yourself.
I did, as I was told, and looked back down at my legs apeishly. Where am I? I muttered the words, hoping they'd be heard, and answered. Mizuki made a small semicircle around me, facing me from the left, twirling the sharp metal object in her hands, a sword still strapped to her back. I didn't dare move in front of her.
I'm afraid I cannot tell you, Kenji. This is a top secret facility. On that even your dear old grandfather doesn't know about, but it holds a similar purpose.
A few moments later, another figure walked into the room, and it didn't take me very long to figure out who it was.
You look comfy.
Why are you doing this? Why did you kidnap me?
We have our reasons, dear, don't worry.
Why? Is it for leverage? Are you using me as a hostage against my grandfather? What are you planning?
My. What do you think? We're just a couple of two-bit crooks and criminals? Using you for some kind of espionage plot? No, my dear Kenji. We have so much more for you in store. You'll just have to wait and see in time. What is that supposed to mean? Wait! Wait! They both walked away, leaving me to sit there, barely any energy even left in me. Those Krontek crooks really did it this time. I'm so sorry, Tensai. We tried. We really did. We went over there as soon as we could, and they outsmarted us.
It's okay, I don't blame you two. I blame myself for allowing him to go in the first place. I knew it was dangerous, and yet I still allowed it. I'm doing everything I can to pinpoint Kenji's location, running multiple bioscans across several time streams. It won't be easy, but I hope I can find him. I'll help in any way I can, Michelle. You girls may go. Thank you sincerely for all your help, but I need to be alone right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Poor Tensai, he seems so distraught.
Can you blame him? His only grandson was just kidnapped right under his nose because of his own invention.
First his only daughter and now his only grandson?
Gosh, I almost forgot. Kenji may have lost his parents, but Tensai, he lost someone just as important to him.
Outliving your own child?
That was a strange voice, I know.
Kyu, we have to fix this. How? We didn't even know where they are.
We can try to lure them out and follow them back to their own lab. We didn't try that before because of the risk. But now I don't see how we have a choice anymore.
That sounds really dangerous, Rose. I'm not sure if...
If you aren't going to help, I go on my own. I'm sorry, it's just... Who knows what they could be do to him right now? I understand, Rose, but we just can't rush into battle. We need a better plan. Once we have one, then we go for it. You're right. Okay, Q, let's try to think something up. I don't know how much time had passed. It was dark and it was quiet. I was just tied there waiting for something or someone. I didn't know what. I struggled with my bonds, feeling the rope rubbing against my wrists, tied to the steel pipe behind me. How am I gonna get out of this one? I was muttering to myself at this point, but I didn't care. I didn't think there was anyone around to actually hear me anyway. At least, I didn't think so until I heard footsteps. The clacking of high heels came from somewhere off in the darkness until the figure was more visible in front of me. It was Bunny.
How are we this evening, Kenji?
Like you actually care keeping me captive in your...
Sex dungeon?
She winked and strutted towards me, over to my side, bending over to eye level.
Kidding, of course.
What do you plan on doing with me?
We've been through this, Kenji. I'm not allowed to say, as that would spoil the surprise.
Fine. At least tell me what Project Paradox is.
None of that either. You see, in order for this plan to go as perfectly as possible, you need to be as in the dark about it as we can keep you.
Does that include that actual building lights as well?
Oh, so you still have a sense of humor in the situation, huh?
It's more of a bit of sarcasm at this point.
Call it what you will, Kenji. You're not leaving from this spot. But I thought I might keep your company and tell you some stories you don't already know about your little friends over on the other side.
Other side?
Ah, yes, the answer to the first question. So, as it turns out, the reason your friends can't find us is because we aren't located in a different area to them, but rather in a different period of time itself.
What? Really?
Time is funny like that. We exist many years ahead of them, just out of reach, so their time window can't track us. And since the time window can only go back in time, they really have no chance of finding us, huh?
Then, how did you find out about the time window in the first place?
Oh, that's a long and complicated one. Where should I start?
She slid down and sat next to me, wrapping her arm around my shoulders. I squirmed a bit uncomfortably.
Well, it started with our commander. The commander came up to us one day and purposed an idea to us. And in the meantime, we agreed and created an exact replica of the time window that the girls made under the use of Crontek.
But how did you manage to get the blueprints?
Inside formation, dear.
She winked and brushed off my question.
Let's just say that. Not everything about your time is quite as logical as you'd like to think. And not everything is black and white.
She stood walking in front of me and putting her hands on her lips.
Now, as for me, I was friends and roommates with Mizuki back in our college days. We were both engineering and biology majors, looking to advance medical science.
That seems like a much bigger course than what you're doing now.
Trust me, dear, when the commander approached us with the idea, We thought the same exact thing, but when she explained it in detail, the possibilities that it could provide and the difference we could make, we couldn't resist. Think about it like this. Why try to find cures to diseases when you could just go back in time and stop them from existing? What? But that isn't possible for... Of course. That is definitely impossible for some genetic diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's. But we even kept those in mind too. We can go back to the very conception and cropping up of those diseases and find their solutions faster than we ever could in the modern era. And for diseases that did have a root cause, well, we could stop them from happening altogether. But the dangers of altering time, and that's what the commander is going to test. Until now, we've just gone back to study evidence. Many diseases were brought on by great wars due to the severely unhygienic conditions they created. And whether or not that's historically or medically accurate, they're the findings we have personally observed on our travels. We have to realize that modern science, medicine and logic become nothing once time travel is introduced. Oh, but look at you, so bored. Did those girls over at TENSHI's lab treat you right? With that... Naja. I watched wide eyes as she walked towards me, swaying her hips and bringing her hands to her clothes, slowly undoing them as she approached me. They didn't, did they? Oh my Kenji, I don't know how you were able to resist getting your hands all over them the whole time. No, look, it's not. Oh, what? You wanna sit around and tell me how you're better than that? That you're a gentleman and all that nonsense? Please, Kenji, go on about you're so much better than modern men because of how much you respect me. Why is that a big thing? Look, what you're even doing, it's not that you're not attractive, it's just that I am tied up and kind of being held hostage. Not exactly a romantic setup, bunny. Not to mention that despite you being attractive, you're one of my captors. I don't like explaining myself or my actions all the time to people, so I would ask you to please shove off. Bunny was silent, staring at me for a moment before sliding a strap of her shirt, slinking to the side of her shoulder. Yeah, the commander did say you were different. She said, this time in front of me, looking me directly in the eyes. Look, Kenji, who do you think are the bad guys here? What are you talking about? Did you consider for a second that maybe, possibly, there isn't such thing as good and evil in this battle you're taking place in? Just different ideas? Oh, don't get all existential on me. Shut it with the sarcasm, genius. Think, Kenji. The only reason you side with those other girls is because you met them first, and because of their allegiance of your grandfather. But Tensai is a layabout. He designed a time machine, a functioning way to get through time. And what does he do? He sits on his thumbs and looks at things like it's the History Channel. Tensai is no doubt a genius, but he isn't applying his genius to anything anymore. He spent his life developing one of those most amazing things known to mankind, and he has kept it in secret and safe somehow. But we're doing something, Kenji. We're taking his product and using it to help people cure things, stop plagues and wars. But you're risking time falling apart. Oh, shut up with your butterfly effect nonsense. We've spent all this time studying and observing, being obedient little pets while the commander carries out her ultimate plan. The door that we just need to open to solve everything else. Your grandfather, his assistants, however good you think they are, Kenji, they aren't. They stopped us from accomplishing our goals. We just want to help people, I promise. I looked at her face for a long time. It was serious, solemn and pale. But for some reason, I can't believe you, any of you. Despite how good you're making it sounds. You just kidnapped someone in order to execute your plans. You could have just asked. Like you would have said yes. Alright, fine. You have a point, but still. Just think about it, Kenji. That's all I ask. She stood looking back down at me. I looked up at her face, partly more her breasts, but I tried to keep that thought out of mind. But it was rather hard when I was glaring me in the face. She must have noticed because her mood seemed to turn on a dime. Like him? She asked this while hefting up her two large orbs, smirking. 100% real, Kenji, I promise. Even with the time window effects, amazing, aren't they? She bent down, almost shoving them in my face, and all I could do was sit there and blush. Nice and soft too, trust me dear. You wisen up and join in on our mission and you'll be able to have fun with these whenever you want. With that, she stood and sauntered away, whistling a merry tune as she did so. I caught my breath, mulling over her words. I don't know what to believe at this point. But even as I sat there, I couldn't help but wonder what Rose and Kyu were up to. Had they forgotten about me, or was there truly no way for them to get here? And what they are planning is what we will find out in the next episode of Time Tenshi, which will be released tomorrow. So if you want to see it, then just tune in. And if you liked what you've seen, then leave a thumbs up, leave a commentary. And if you don't want to miss any of the action, may it be Time Tenshi or whatever will be following, I can tell you it will not have to do with boobs, but it will scare the shit out of you. Then just then just subscribe to my channel, and then I say goodbye for now, your pacemaker.